Beware of snake oil salespeople.
In one case, went to this doctor who was like highly recommended, and I got like blood work done. I'm like sitting in his office, and he tells me that I'm like B12 deficient, and I was like, huh, okay. And then he it says like you have to take these like B12 supplements, and then it's going to be like $1,000 a month for these special B12.
$1,000 a month for B12?
Ridiculous
really?
amount of money. Yeah,
that's great. You get it on Amazon.
The origins of snake oil trace back to traditional Chinese medicine, where doctors utilized oil extracted from the Chinese water snake, Enhydris chinensis. This oil was highly valued for its purported anti-inflammatory properties and was commonly used to relieve joint pain and other ailments. When Chinese immigrants arrived in America in the 19th century to work on the transcontinental railroads, they brought this remedy with them. The oil proved effective for many laborers who suffered from muscle and joint pain after long days of physically demanding work, quickly gaining a reputation for its healing properties among workers of various backgrounds. However, as word of the remedy's effectiveness spread, opportunistic salespeople saw a chance to profit. These individuals began to market their own versions of snake oil. But instead of using the original Chinese water snake oil, they often replaced it with mineral oil, beef fat, or other ineffective substances. These counterfeit products were promoted with grand claims and aggressive sales tactics, giving rise to the term snake oil salesman, now synonymous with someone selling fraudulent or dubious products. Over time, the phrase snake oil became a cautionary symbol, warning consumers to be wary of products that promise miraculous results without credible evidence. For at least 10 years, Dr. Nordquist has advocated the advantages of natural foods, known for their anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial qualities, in preventing and reversing chronic diseases to audiences that appeared unresponsive. Elon Musk expressed frustration that people rarely change after learning something, leading him to conclude that this trait suggests people shouldn't live too long.
I don't think we should try to have people live for a very long time, because the truth is, most people don't change their mind, they just die. And so if they don't die, they will be stuck with old ideas, and society won't advance.
Since I've been promoting the antimicrobial diet and natural antibiotics and anti-inflammatories that are present in foods that our ancestors ate, but we don't. Even though I've been talking about this for a long time, I thought that someday someone's going to start bastardizing it and picking one or two of these foods, and then they're going to distill down the ingredients, and then they're going to sell it for way more expensive than in concentrations instead of in its natural form. And that's actually happening right now. And so we need to be aware of it. I call them snake oil salesmen.
In one case, went to this doctor who was like highly recommended, and I got like blood work done. I'm like sitting in his office, and he tells me that I'm like B12 deficient, and I was like, huh, okay. And then it says like you have to take these like B12 supplements, and then it's going to be like $1,000 a month for these special B12.
$1,000 a month for B12?
Ridiculous
really?
amount of money. Yeah,
that's great. You get it on Amazon.
Yeah, but his one's special. So then I get home, I'm paging through my blood work, and it says I have excess B12, and he's giving me the box pills that have like 20,000% of a recommended daily dose. I said, look, I took a photograph of the blood work that says I have excess. I'm like above the range. It says I've got a little too much B12, and you just gave me pills that have 20,000% more. I'm like, this is crazy.
What did the doctor say?
Oh, he said you can never have too much B12.
He's a psychopath.
Yes.
That guy's a B12 addict.
So the unfortunate thing in this whole conundrum is that there's a huge part of our population that money and making money is the whole purpose of life. I never looked at it that way. I always wanted to help people. And I found that, just by putting people on natural foods with natural antibiotics and natural anti-inflammatory, they would improve their health. And this would be so inexpensive, and the ingredients are so inexpensive that they're available easily and they don't cost that much. Why don't people follow up my advice? But I find that people just ignore, and they don't think that the natural ingredients can actually do any good. So here we stand at a crossroads that could easily be solved. However, there's so much conflicting information and social media that people basically don't believe anything anybody is saying. So my advice is, if you have to listen to an hour, hour and a half of a social media presentation before they tell you what it is, when that starts out, just stop listening to it. But listen to someone who gives you the advice right up at the beginning and who seems honest and not trying to get into your pocket. And they're not interested in making money, but more interested in helping you become healthy. This morning, I woke up and I usually go to my cell phone and listen to the news. And the first thing that popped up was the video by a dentist. And he had 2 ingredients that would save this patient for what the problem that patient has. And so it was an impetus for me making this video. I watched these videos on so-called very famous people suggesting that you take one supplement or another, and it takes an hour and a half before you get down to find out they're selling you something that costs $50 a month. And then I wish I hadn't watched that long, because a lot of their ingredients are the natural ingredients, but they've been bastardized in some way. So this particular clip, even though the individuals putting on are legitimate, but they make you sound like there's one thing you can do, it's going to solve all your problems. So that's another clue. If someone has one single or 1 or 2 ingredients and it's going to solve a whole lifetime of your developing chronic disease, there's no way that can happen. You didn't get sick overnight, and it doesn't happen. You don't get healed overnight, and God's not going to heal you overnight either, because he doesn't violate his own laws. And if you violated his own laws in health and eating really bad food your whole life, and then you get to Jesus now, and he can't heal something you have done all these years. So you have to start then, get on the antimicrobial diet, eat good food, and heal yourself over a period of time. And it took me 10 years to remove the calculus from my carotid arteries, but it did, and it's documented through an ultrasound. So it can be reversed. So here's a video, and it's a good example of what we've been talking about.
Want a gut solution that works? It works, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, listen to this. Okay, you came to me and said, listen, for years I have had heartburn.
Yes.
You were on Prilosec, you were on a medication,
Yes.
right? I'm going to ship you 2 bottles of this stuff called Gut Enhancer.
Yes.
What happened?
So everything changed. I used to go to the bathroom more than 5 times, and when I started going to, I was doing it normally, but it changed.
I literally came back, whatever it was, a few months later. I'm like, how? They're like, no, it's gone.
It's gone.
You heard
So-
about it. You had gut issues,
Yeah.
right? I said, I'm going to ship you the bottle, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
what happened?
Well, everything stopped right now. I don't have the problem anymore.
Yeah, done. That's
Yeah,
it.
gone.
That's it.
This is
done.
it.
I'll put a link for the product.
All right.
Okay, guys, in medicine, this stuff has got to stop. Nobody's going to be healed over 1 or 2 ingredients. It's a lifestyle and diet change, and the change takes years, not overnight. That's all I got to say.